Why is bardic satirical magic so effective? Well, it's really quite interesting. It comes down to the fact that it's almost like a risk-free curse. You see, one of the issues with cursing is when people curse other people, they're kind of screwing themselves up because most people are not very good at it. Any magical tradition will tell you should never curse anyone unless you're on a deathbed. Even then you should consider it because the curse may fall from generation to generation, and grandsons and granddaughters down the line who never did any harm to you will be affected by the curse. So there's a moral imperative, a kind of a natural law thing stops you from doing it. But there's always going to be morons who want to curse other people directly, and they end up only destroying themselves. Now, we saw that with the Trump thing. That's been a complete disaster. He's now made it. He's now survived, and he's mastered the magical process. And all the people that cursed him, all that's resulted in is all these Hollywood stars all getting busted, the ones who are Democrats. It's also resulted in possibly charges coming against, random indictments against the Clintons and people like that. That may have, it may not, but it's just the fact that it's even out there is enough to destroy them. And also a lot of people who took part in these ridiculous courses will all be, will all suffer the consequences very personally as well. The biggest mistake they made, of course, was, as I've mentioned, they mentioned his name. You never mention the name, and this is what happens, because when you mention the name, the person being cursed is aware of you're being cursed. Their subconscious mind is aware of it. So what you do is, if you want to curse someone effectively or damage someone effectively, a satirical thing is the best way of doing it. Of course, not many people are very good at satire and comedy and taking the piss, and therefore they don't have the jester craft inside them. It fails if you mention them directly by name. That's a big no-no. The curse will bounce back to you, or it'll have no effect at the very least. But if you do it in satirical magic, you can, in a kind of a bardic way of doing it, you can get away with it. And I'll tell you how it works. You don't mention them by name. You see, it's like the Macbeth thing, the Scottish play. What you do is you create a kind of avatar of the individual or the process, and this avatar directly connects to the daemon of the individual you're seeking to mock or shame or whatever, and to be used a satire upon. So therefore you might call them, a certain name that they remind you of something, or they look like something, or they walk funny, or their accent is funny, or there's something different about them that you can actually pin on them. Then you build this mystique of them in that way, and then from that point on, that's what you curse. Well, not what you curse. You don't curse it. You put the bardic or the satirical magic upon that. So you write satires, comedies, this kind of thing. Very, very effective. Very effective, I might add. The problem is today, because of basically humour is terrible today. We don't have very few good comedians. This is one of the reasons they've actually stopped. All the great comedians like the Bernard Manning of the past and so on, they were all shamed as being politically incorrect because they were absolutely brilliant at the satirical magic. So they replaced them with god-awful, unfunny twats like Russell Howard and Michael McIntyre, and just about every American comedian out there, with the exception of all these horrible Kathy Griffin. Oh my God, she's actually dying, that woman. She made that huge mistake of trying to curse Trump with the headless, the decapitated picture. It was a disgusting thing to do. In any case, it backfired terribly. You can actually see her dying. You look at her, how she looks now compared to when she did that. She's actually being psychically eaten alive. She did a gig here in Dublin last week. She got booed off the stage. Not for that, because she can't control her psychic space anymore and can't project her psychic energy. Well, she never could anyway. And so that's what happened there. She directly cursed someone, and it directly came back. And this is what's all these late night TV shows, the ones that are like, those twats like John Oliver and the rest of them, they're all finished as well, Jimmy Kimmel. It's only a matter of time before we see the end of them, because they've taken on a magical force that they can't actually demolish. And they also did they did it completely wrong. They did it completely wrong. Whereas on the alt-left, and I'm not alt-left, I'm very much a sort of a psychic anarchist in the middle. I believe in that. I don't even do middle of the road. The much better. The Keck thing, the memes, the whole thing was much better, as you see in my film on Between Mortals and Gods, how I explained that. So there you go. If you want to curse someone, the bottom line is don't do it, because 99 times out of 100 it will come back on you or the ones you love. 99 times out of 100 it won't work. Voodoo dolls don't work at all. It's an extremely crude form of cursing someone or trying to hex them. The best way to do is develop complex satires and build them up over a long period of time. Use bardic magic and that kind of thing. But then again, this proves that the whole adage of magic is an art and a science. If you're not funny, if you're not clever, if you're not witty, you can forget about it. It's as simple as that. This is why the Joker lived to be the oldest one in the court, and the Joker's the last card back in the deck, and the Fool is the card that returns back to zero in full circle. Take care of yourselves.